everyone. I'm still sick. My voice sounds really weird today. Thank you for all the wonderful comments and feedback on my update video. You guys are really sweet. I'm going to keep this video kind of brief because I'm sick and want to go back to bed. So, Sleepy Alpaca asked, how do you choose which panels to use? So panels are very versatile, but the one thing to keep in mind about panels is that they're kind of like paragraphs in fiction. So they should each have a purpose and convey a clear idea. Give each panel its own purpose. Don't try to do too many things in one panel. Don't use several panels to repeat the same idea if you can avoid it, because, that'll make your comic boring and repetitive. But whether it's showing a character's emotional state, like an important piece of information, new action, the panel should be showing a clear idea. One of the major things to consider when designing your panels is to choose what size you want each panel to be, because the size of the panel dictates how long the reader will be looking at it. A big panel takes more of the reader's attention. They'll spend more time looking at it, which will slow down the pace of their reading. Meanwhile, a small panel will be read really quickly. There's less information in it to take in. And then a splash page, or like a full-page spread, or a two-page spread, will take way longer to look at, and you can throw in tons of cool little details into it, because people will be staring at it for a long time. So that's a good thing to think about when choosing which idea you want to convey with each panel. If it's just like characters talking back and forth, you might want to do small panels. If it's like banter back and forth, or you could do one big panel with lots of speech bubbles going through it to show banter. There's so many different ways you can portray the same idea. It's just how fast do you want your reader to go through it. So that'll dictate the sizing. I generally choose like a main point for every page. So one panel in the page will get more attention than the other panels, and that's usually like the focus panel or the focal panel. So that'll usually be the biggest. I'll put most of my effort into it. It'll be saying kind of the main thesis of the page. And that can be like a whole bunch of different things. Bones would probably be better at talking about like how to pace a script and how to give every page like a point. So I won't go into that here. So as for panel shape, there's a lot of different ways you can do it. Generally, it's very safe to use, say, like rectangles or squares with like straight lines for the gutters. Like that's very safe. It's very easy to read. It's very common. It's my default. When it's just characters talking, or like not major action is happening, which is a lot of our comics because it's like horror and characters are just talking about clues. So it's a lot of just like rectangles and squares. It's totally fine. You convey your story perfectly fine that way. But if you decide to do panels that are, say, like a weird shape, like using slanted lines or using a circle or using no lines at all for the panel, there should be a reason behind why you're doing that, because it is breaking convention. It's breaking what people are used to seeing, unless, say, you decided to do a comic that was entirely made with circle panels. Then they'd be weirded out if there was suddenly a rectangular panel in the middle of the comic. So a big part about choosing panels is choosing a convention for your panels. So for me, with Magpie, the convention is like rectangular panels, usually doing like between 3 and 5 or 6 on a page, usually 3 to 5. And then when we break it and use weird shape panels, like say when Magpie, the Elder God, shows up, the panels kind of get broken, reality's messed with, so the panels kind of run together, there's no clear boundary between them, and it gives this very, like, disorienting, magical feel to it. It's very purposeful. So it really depends on your intention and what you're trying to convey when you're choosing your panel shape. It depends on what you're trying to do. So, think about what information you're trying to convey, the tone you want to convey it with, and experiment. Especially in the early stages where you're thumbnailing, where you can try out a whole bunch of different layouts really quickly without committing to any of them. Sketch out a few different ideas. Say you have a really important reveal, try making it a big circle in the center of the page and all the other panels kind of splay around it. Try making a panel pop out in front of the other panels. Try a lineless panel. Try that anime thing where the character's standing outside of a panel but in front of all the other panels and kind of overlaps them. It all depends on what you want the reader to feel. So like try a bunch of different ideas, like A/B test it, show it to different people, show different versions to different people and see their reaction to it. And it's totally cool to just do something because it looks cool, as long as it's conveying the information properly. And like I said before about having a convention for your comic with like panel shapes, maybe don't go too crazy with doing like a new panel shape every page because that'll get confusing. Really try to use weirdly shaped panels for emphasis. Use them sparingly, they'll have more impact that way. And like I said, the best place to try all this out is in the thumbnailing stage. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I hope that helps out with any panel decisions you're making. A lot of it is subjective, and a lot of it will change depending on the flow of your comic, so make sure you get that flow down when you're planning out your panels. Anyways, thank you so much for listening. If you have any questions, or if you'd like to request a video topic, please leave a comment down below. And I'll see you guys next time. I'm gonna go take a nap now. Goodbye!